Today we are discussing the blast furnace hearth safety playbook. Our goal is simple to keep the furnace and everyone working around it safe. The hearth is the heart of our operation, but because it's encased in steel, we cannot just look inside to see how it is doing. This presentation is about learning how to read the sign of what's happening deep inside the furnace by looking at our cooling data, wear pattern and air gap. So basically we are going to focus on the three data that intercept the safety agenda of our presentation. That is our cooling data, wear pattern and air gaps. So coming to our next slide, which is a process on moving forward. Since we cannot see the carbon bricks directly, we must use our cooling system data as our eyes. So these data allow us to see through the steel shell. There are three main hidden threads as we have already discussed. We need to watch for every single shift, water scale, hidden wear and air gaps, as it is nicely shown in the slide. If you understand how these three things affect the heart, we can spot a problem before it becomes a disaster. So think of this data as a heart monitor for the furnace. So coming to the danger of water scale, as you must be knowing, the our first thread is hard water scale. Mineral in the cooling water can build up over time, creating a white crust inside the pipes. This crust act like a blanket, trapping heat inside the carbon brick instead of letting it escape into the water. The learning point here is simple. A scale is an insulator. To fix this, we must ensure our water is fast and cool enough to wash away that buildup before it sticks, keeping the blanket off our brick. Coming to the flow rate versus boiling, which is supposed to be our next agenda, is very important one. So there is a common myth on the shop floor that water might boil into steam inside the pipes and stop cooling. This is called film boiling. The reality is that our current water flows rate are much higher than the danger limit. We don't need to worry about the water boiling. We need to focus on skill and wear. As long as our flow rate stay in the green zone as it is shown in the slide, on our gauges the water is removing fast enough to do its job. So coming to our agenda of this slide, which is average number hide local wear. On this agenda, as you must be knowing, this is a very critical point. Average heat flux number can lie. So you might look at the monitor and see a normal heat reading, but that is just an average of a whole stave. In reality, the carbon brick would be dangerously thin in one specific spot that will called zero residual thickness. Even if the overall number looks safe, a local hole in the brick could be forming right behind the steel. We have to look close, then just the average. So law of average is to be avoided in any case. So trust the timeline, not just today's average. So one single reading doesn't tell the whole story, but a sudden jump upward in the heat flux is a major red flag. It tells us a protective layer inside the furnace has fallen off. Another shop floor sign is furnace shell itself. It become hot to the touch. You know insulation inside is failing. Always watch the trend over time, not just the number today. In the process of moving forward, coming to air gaps which act like a blanket against the brick and is very important. So the third threat is the air gap. Over time, spaces can form between the cooling stave and the carbon brick. These gaps fill uh, with the hot gas and act like a thermal blanket. The biggest danger here is that the carbon brick gets dangerously hot, but because the heat cannot reach the cooling stave, the stave stays completely cold. A cold stave doesn't always mean a safe hearth. It mean it might mean the heat is trapped behind a gap. So these aspects also need to be intercepted while diagnosing the issues. So how do we find a hidden gap? We use blast pressure changes during blowout or blow in. If you see the brick temperature and the saved heat flux moving in opposite direction, you have a gap. For example, when blast pressure drops, the gap might close, causing the brick temperature to drop while the stave heat flux suddenly jump up as it finally feels the heat. If they move in opposite direction, there is a gap that needs fixing. So coming to the grouting part, which is supposed to be very important, uh, that is applying grouting over the water. So when your sensor shows you have an air gap, pumping more water will not help. Since the water cannot reach the heat across the gap, more flow is useless. The only real fix is grouting. We must physically fill that empty space with a grout to reconnect the cooling stave to the carbon brick. The breeze allows the heat to flow into the cooling water again, bringing the brick temperature back down to safe level. So coming to the shop floor summary, which is supposed to be one of the most important slide, that is the three rule for safety. To wrap up, remember these three most important rules for hearth safety. Water. Let us look into water first. So keep it fast and cool to wash away heat trapping scale. So this is the implication of water. Coming to wear, don't trust averages. Watch the trend curve for sudden jump. Gap, that is number 3 is about the gap. So look for opposite temperature changes when pressure drop. If you find a gap, fix it with a grout, not more water. Keep these signs in mind every shift to ensure our health of hearth stays solid and our team stays safe.